Here we go.
Curry,
Here we go.
they got you, don't you worry. If you were in a hurry, buy with Curry and Claypool. Curry and Claypool, no matter how your day goes, they got a fresh new show today. It's Curry and Claypool. Whether you up north of Gardendale or down south past Vestavia, turn up your sound and listen well, cause we got something to say to you. Curry and Claypool, they in the know, their topics cover A to Z. So whether you drive fast or slow, just sit on back and feel the beat.
Ooh.
Oh no! It's Curry and Claypool.
Good morning. It's a hump day. It's a Wednesday, February 23rd. Tony Kurre live every Monday through Friday morning, 7:30, 9:30 again from 6 to late. Of course, tonight I'm going to cut loose a little early. It is a mission-minded Wednesday. That show is going to air at noon and 7 today. Then later on tonight, you just heard AC/DC. It's a live wire Wednesday. Still waiting for some information on tour details. We'll know them first here on Tony Kurre Radio. We've got the inside track here. It's a rock and roll damnation later on tonight, 8 o'clock. It is all AC/DC for a full hour. In the meantime, tons of great classic rock and roll the bone. And yes, we'll go Facebook Live here in just a few minutes. Give us some details on some very interesting rock news today, including the ideal age for women to give birth. What? Is there a time for that? We'll talk about it on Tony Kurre Live this morning and this afternoon right here on Tony Kurre Radio. Good morning. Tony Kurre Live on Tony Kurre Radio. Wherever you're listening, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different countries, and we're in about 30-something different states. And, of course, we're right here in Birmingham, Alabama, in beautiful Hoover. This is the epicenter of Tony Kurre Radio and Tony Kurre Live. Got a huge show today. We got Live Wire Wednesday going on later on tonight, 8 o'clock, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing for all your staffing needs, 205-682-2828. They also, in turn, are right here in Hoover, Alabama, but they serve the United States of America. So even if you're listening outside Birmingham right now, and I know you are, you give them a call, 205-682-2828. They're good to go from construction, anything else. They're great. Your word and your handshake still means something. Right before that, 7 o'clock, Mission Minded with my good friend Michael Coleman from the Jimmy Hill Mission. It's a show we've been talking about for like a year to do. He offers so much more than just being the executive director at Jimmy Hill Mission. Whether you're starting non-for-profits, and by the way, there are 1.5 million non-for-profits in this country. There are a lot of other things that are considered non-for-profit that are not just charity-driven. You got a great passion for something. Maybe you've been stricken with some type of tragedy in your life, whatever it is, and you've got this passion to carry it on, pay it forward, do it all. We're part of that too. But non-for-profits certainly are a much bigger platform, just that. We talk about that as well as entrepreneurial business decisions and more. That show airs at noon and 7 today. And also, of course, along with all that, we've got our Spotify program up. I'm loving this. Spotify actually reached out to us and said, man, we want to do a partnership with you. We know you got 8, 9, 10 different shows going on. We'd love to have your podcast up. We're all about it. I don't know if it was right around the Joe Rogan thing. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but we're in. So if you go to Tony Kurre Radio, search Tony Kurre Radio on Spotify, you can pull up all of our wonderful shows that you can listen to, including Adapter Paris, which we had on yesterday, Dark Side of the Pooch, which is hilarious, fantastic, the Austin Hanks Show, the Damon Johnson Show is going to be up soon. They're all up there right here on Tony Kurre Radio. So search Tony Kurre Radio on Spotify and download that Tony Kurre Radio app. Here I am, Tony Kurre Live on Tony Kurre Radio. Good morning to you. You can listen to us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Fantastic classic rock, handpicked by the master himself. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at Tony Kurre Radio. Get the Tony Kurre Radio app. It's free. It's Tony Kurre, Kurre with a K. And now, we just started this last week. Spotify actually reached out to us several months ago and said, we love what you're doing. You got all these different shows, Adapt or Perish. You got the Dark Side of the Pooch. You got Mission Minded. You got Live Wire Wednesday. You got Mission Minded. You got the Austin Hanks Show. You got Damon Johnson Show. You got When in Rome. You got the classic hip hop. I know. Like, we love these shows. We want them up on our podcast platform. And I said, okay, let's make a deal. So we had some licensing issues because a lot of our shows we do are centered around classic rock. And, of course, if you play classic rock, and you know this, if you ever have a business or anything else, you try to put something up on Instagram or Facebook and play a song, they'll boot it off because you got to pay licensing on that because we're a moneymaker. We're shaking your moneymaker. And they worked out a deal, and they're like, we got you covered. We got it taken care of. We just want your stuff. I said, fine. So if you go to Tony Kurre Radio, search Tony Kurre Radio on Spotify, you can see all of our stuff up there. There's over 100 episodes of everything, and I promise you'll start binge watching all that stuff. Got a couple things I want to get into this morning. Something that's really getting on my nerves. And it's the bet I made. Life is funny. God's got a sense of humor. I want to talk about retirement. I just saw a good friend of mine, John Michaels. We know him as Tootie. I used to hang out with him up at Lucky's. I worked with him for a long period of time when I was doing the classic rock thing. He was the coolest black dude in classic rock. Awesome guy. Loved his classic rock. Funny guy. And a good friend. And I saw yesterday where he just said, I'm retiring, and I want to talk about it in just a second. I don't know. What's going on with everyone retiring? How are they doing it? I want to know how they're doing it. Anyway, a couple interesting stories. I saw James Spann posted something yesterday about 2/22/22. Yesterday, of course, was 2/22/22. He said now to the 28th, there's only 28 days in February, that until February 28th, you can do it backwards, and it's still the same. So today's 2/23/22, but if you do it backwards, it's 2/23/22. Tomorrow will be 2/24/22. You can do that backwards at 2/24/22. Get it? It's kind of cool. And, of course, a lot of people think that's astrological, environmental, atmospheric type of thing. It's 2/22, and it's like crazy, and the planets are lining up. It's supposed to be a special day. Nothing special happened to me. Anyway, I thought it's a great story. A woman, where was this story out of? St. Louis? No, Long Island. Long Island's Catholic Health Mercy Hospital. She gave birth to a pair of twins at 2/22 yesterday on 2/22/22. What are the chances? She had twins, too, at 2:22 in the morning on 2/22/22. If that ain't telling you something. Also, another interesting study that came out about babies, and I thought this was interesting. What's the age that you think the average U.S. woman gives birth for the first time? I'll give you a second to think about it. A little surprising here. It's a little later than I thought. But the average U.S. woman, according to the CDC, is a first-time mother at the age of 26. It's a little late, don't you think? I always thought it was closer, like 23, 24, something like that. Considering that most people get married, I don't know what the average age is for people who get married for the first time. Now, I didn't get married till I was 36. And we didn't give birth. We adopted our first son, Santo, when I was 38, 39. My ex, at the time my wife, was slightly younger than I was by about 3 or 4 years. And so in Britain now, the average age is 29. There are some countries that varies everywhere from like 18 to like 32 or something like that. Anyway, according to this study, this is really interesting here. According to a study at the University of Seoul in South Korea, they have looked at 4,000 women who gave birth anywhere between like 18 and 49. And they went back to find out how many of them lived a good, prosperous life and how many of them perished early in their life. And they found out the sweet spot for women to give birth in their life. They say if you give birth the first time at the age of 25, you have a 10% chance to live longer. In other words, if you gave birth outside the age of 25, you have a 10% chance of dying within 18 years of your birth date. What? So if you give birth anytime outside 25, which means you do it at 18 up to 24, or anytime after 25, you have a 10% chance at dying from some inconspicuous weird death within 18 years of that birthing date. And it kind of makes sense because obviously if you're giving birth at a very young age, you're going to probably have not everybody, but you're probably going to have more stressful issues. You may suffer from depression issues. You're going to be anxiety ridden because you're young and you got a lot going on. Maybe you're going to school, you're starting a new job, you're going through a marriage or a boyfriend, whatever, and so it's difficult. And then if you give birth after 25, then you probably have some of the same issues. You're dealing with work because you're already successful, you're already entrenched in your workplace and your platform, your life, and then you're also suffering from weight gain. It's hard to stay in shape as you get older. Your metabolism changes, so it kind of makes sense. So at the age of 25, that is the prime date for women to give birth for the first time. And if you do so, you will live, it says here, an average of 8.3 years longer. Now, again, you don't give birth at the age of 25. John David Lyons, good morning. You don't give birth at the age of 25 just so you live longer. It's got to be right for you. And again, this is different from case to case to case. So I go to this funeral this past Friday, the Ed and Fred funeral. I've spoken about it, and I think we're going to have some big party for Fred, by the way, maybe down at Work Play in the next couple of weeks or days, something like that. And several people walked up. Now, again, considering this, I didn't get married. When I got married, I was kind of crazy. I was kind of wild. Everyone knew me from the classic rock days. I was out getting it done. I had a good time. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot I didn't do. And so, because I always knew that when I got married, I was going to get married one time, and that was it. I was going to give it my all. I'm not perfect. I screwed it up. Fault on both sides. But I was like, this is it. And so I waited as long as I possibly could. I wanted to make sure it was the right time. I had the right woman. I wanted to make sure everything was set. And again, life goes on. It ebbs and flows. Things happen. So I was 36, 37 years old when I got married. And after that, settled down a little bit, or at least I tried to, settled in, adopted a kid, adopted another kid. Then we had just a miracle baby come along, she's now 9 years old. And so I'm a late bloomer in a lot of different ways. So I'm sitting here, I'm turning 56 a week from Monday, and I got a 9-year-old. Brandon Austin, good morning to you. I'm 56, and I'll have a 9-year-old. So all these people that I grew up with, I ran into at this funeral on Friday, and they're all coming up to me, and they're all a little older than I am, and they're all retiring. And I'm like, what? How in the hell are you retiring? You're 61 years old. And I'm happy for them, don't get me wrong, but it pisses me off. Now, had I go back 5 or 6 years, and I have no regrets. You learn from your mistakes, your failures, and everything else. And I've been super blessed in that God has given me all the tools and the gifts to create this Tony Kurre radio thing, and this is kind of like my second career. Would I have started at the age of 54? Probably not, because at the age of 50, people don't even sniff you anymore. So I had to create this new thing, and I basically started all over again. Everything in my life outside my God and my Lord and Savior, that's the only thing that's constant in my life, and thank God I know He's there. I know He's there for me. Thank goodness. But everything else was turned upside down its head. The wife, the job, the business, the career, everything was gone, and so I had to start all over again. And so I'm looking at this as a wonderful opportunity, because it's almost like living two lives in one. I'm like, this is super cool. Now, again, I would not put a lot of people in this situation and go, hey, at the age of 55, throw everything away and start all over again. But I really had no control over that. And so I'm starting. So it's super cool, and it's super neat because I can create my own thing here, and I'm loving it. I'm super blessed. It's a huge challenge, but I'm loving it. So when I have people that continually come up to me that are slightly older than me and telling me, hey, Mark Spud Freeman, good to see you. Scotty Trucks as well. When people come up to me and tell me, yeah, I retired, I'm like, how the hell are you retiring? Now, I didn't think that I'd be sticking cheese balls up people's asses at Jitterbugs until I was 75, although I was prepared to do that because it's fun. And if you love what you do, then you never work a day in your life, blah, 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 blah. And that's something that I'm instilling in my 17-year-old right now. I'm like, listen, because 17-year-olds right now, they go to college, they get out, and if they don't have a $150,000 job, they think they failed. I'm like, dude, I mean, I was filing records for 6 hours a day for free for 3 years before I got my first job for $13,947 a year. You got to put some time into it. And that's the other thing is kids don't want to do anything for free anymore. They're like, well, if I help you intern, do I get paid for it? I'm like, no, you don't get paid for it. You go into a business and you do free stuff and you show them how good you're at it, and then someone gets sick, and next thing you know, you move into their position. Next thing you know, within 4 years, you're making $150,000. That's how it works. But you got to put your time in, right? Kids don't want to put the time in these days. It's my get off my lawn moment here this morning on Tony Kurre Live. But so as you're doing these things, I've always told them, I said, listen, if you really, truly love what you're doing and you really enjoy it, it makes life so much more easier. My brother worked for General Electric, And I remember him telling me numerous times, and he retired at the age of 61, and he deserved every minute of it. And he's living the good life right now. But I mean, he just did not. There were so many times at work, he's like, I hate going to work. I hate going to work. And I know how difficult it was. My dad delivered newspapers for 37 years. 37 years. 365 days a year. Get up at midnight, be throwing newspapers to 1,100 customers outside both windows, 10 degrees outside, the windows down, the heat up, smoking a cigarette with his Colt by his side. Did it for 37 years, and he will be my hero till the end of time because I looked at him, and he took so much pride in what he did. He always told me, listen, if you have to take the trash out, try to enjoy it. If there's something you got to do, try to enjoy it. Try to enjoy the moment. See a butterfly, pick a rock up, do something to enjoy taking trash out. And so I knew that he didn't love delivering newspapers for 37 years, but he did what he had to do. And he took a lot of pride in it. He took a shower every night. He always looked nice. He had a routine. He was always on time. He never missed a day. It was amazing. And so my work ethic came from that. And so I try to enjoy every single moment, every single day. There's days where even when you have a great job, it sucks. It just sucks. It's tough. I get it. But there's other days where you're like, this is what I really want to do. And this is so I'm telling that to my 17-year-old man, set the table now. Do something you really love. It's not about the money. It really isn't. I see people that are making $25,000 a year that are the happiest people I've ever seen. And I know them really well, so I know they're not faking it. They love it. And I see other people making $325,000 a year that do things that they don't love, and their life sucks. They've got marital issues. They're overweight. They're anxiety-ridden. They have depression. They have trauma in their life. They have drama in their life. So it's not about the money. And it's easy to say that to a 17-year-old right now because they see us paying bills and they see Dad's still driving a minivan, blah, 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 blah. But it's not about being happy. It's about being joyous because joyous is a mainstay in your brain. You want to be joyous. Happiness is fleeting. Joyousness is everlasting, right? So I see these people retiring left and right. I don't know about you, and I know Justin Brown, good morning to you, my old roommate. I know a lot of people deserve retirement, and they want to be. I don't think I want to ever retire. I'll always find something to do. First of all, if you're married and you retire, the old lady is going to want to kick your ass out of the house. I've seen that happen a million times where guys are like 68, 69. They're like, yeah, I'm going to retire. I put my work in. I get my pension. Everything's good. And then like within a year, they're working at a garden shop somewhere because her ass is like, please get out of here. Get out of the house. Go play golf 6 days a week. Do something, but get away from me. I can't handle it. The other thing is if you do have a work ethic, it validates you to be doing something. And if you're rich enough and you're fortunate enough to retire and you're into woodwork or something, you got to do something. I think a lot of us, and that's why 75% of people that win the lottery are either dead or they're drug addicts. It's because they don't know what to do with themselves. Why are you going to still work at the shop when you just made $75 million? I'll tell you why. It gives you purpose. It gives you purpose to work. You got to have something to do. And the camaraderie you do with other people, you're bringing something to the world. I think in a perfect world, you retire and maybe you get into ministry, maybe you do something for the church, maybe you build a charity, maybe you start a non-for-profit, maybe you do something like that. That's wonderful. But for people that just all of a sudden say, I'm going to hang it up, and I'm calling John Michaels out, I'm calling bullshit on him because I know John and I know he's a worker and I know he loves what he does. I don't know what kind of money he's sitting on. I know his wife did well. But anyone knows John Michaels knows that he likes to work. He likes to get after it. And he's a people person. He's an extrovert. And so for him to sit there, I don't know what he's going to do in his retirement, but I can tell you right now, he ain't going to be sitting in a lawn chair by the pool all day. It ain't going to happen. I don't think anyone can do that. So now at the age of 56, as I rediscover myself and I'm restarting this entire business here in Tony Kurre Radio, and I'm super proud of it. And it's been a hell of a challenge. It's been unbelievable. But I'm seeing all the hard work pay off, and we're doing fantastic. We're doing great, and thanks to all of our sponsors for making that happen. It's been great. But I'm getting a little tired. Benny Selman, good morning to you, man. I'm getting tired of people telling me they're retiring. Because first of all, I don't think they're retiring. What are you retiring to? What are you doing? Because when I think of retirement, I'm thinking about you're going to do all the things that you've always wanted to do. You're going to go travel. You're going to go camping more often. Maybe you're going to go fishing with the grandkids. You're going to do all those things, and that's great. But there's 24 hours in the day. There's so much more to be done, right? I'll bet you. You know what? I should call John and ask him if he wants to do a shift here on Tony Kurre Radio. He could do some. I'm going to do that. I'm going to call John. If you're watching this morning, I'm going to call you up. Yeah. Benny just said, hell, you can't retire these days. That's true. Depending on how much money you need and your Social Security coming in, it'll run out. What I'm really thinking is going to happen is this is why I've taken the whip to my 17-year-old because he's going to Indian Springs. I'm like, you need to make a shit ton of money to take care of your old man. That's what you need to do. Kids need to take care of their parents. I took care of you for 18 years. You can take care of me the last 18 years. Put me up at a nice retirement home. I'll be playing bingo all day with some old ladies. I'll be getting after it. All right, I hope you have a fantastic day. Don't forget, every single Wednesday, it is Livewire Wednesday, brought to you by Southern Precision Staffing, 205-682-2828, 205-682-2828. We do that at 8 o'clock tonight. It's a live show from 8 until 9 o'clock. We have over 46,000 people that listen in Sydney, Australia alone because that's where the official AC/DC fan club is. We have even more people listening inside the States and certainly right here in the Birmingham area. We have Mission Minded with our good friend Michael Coleman. He's the executive director of the Jimmy Hale Mission. We do a great show about non-for-profits. If you are retiring, Mission Minded is probably the perfect show for you. It runs at noon and 7 this afternoon. And, of course, Tony Kurre Live every single morning and every single evening right here on the Tony Kurre Radio app. Go to Spotify, search Tony Kurre Radio, and check out all of our shows. If you listen to the radio station, you missed any of these great shows we do because they're live and they're new here on the radio station, which is good. If you've missed any of them, go to Tony Kurre Radio on Spotify and search and just start listening to some of our great content because it's fantastic. It's killer. I promise you'll love it. Let's do some Queen here on Tony Kurre Radio.
This has been a special presentation of Tony Kurre Radio.